Some of the other critical factors when it comes to deciding what measurements you're going to use, quantifiable information, numbers, right? What percentage of, how many of, what's the dollar value of, I need quantifiable information. As we stated, the data points should be readily available. You shouldn't have to buy a new tool to extract data. It should already be there in the tool sets that you have, right? So it comes down to trying to reduce the overall cost of security in an organization. If I have to buy a new tool to measure a data point, I probably have selected the wrong data point to try to measure. My infrastructure or my program isn't matured to the point that I already have the tools to do that measurement. And so that's what we try to indicate, right? When we say, okay, we want to make sure that these measures are readily available to us. Repeatable, right? So whenever you put something under any type of test, the test must be valid. And the only way for a test or an examination to be valid is I have to be able to do the exact same thing over and over again and expecting a result, right? Now, don't confuse it with Einstein's theory of insanity, right? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. It's a little twist on it, right? For me to be able to examine something, the procedures I use to examine it must be the same every time so I can get a consistent, repeatable result out of it. If I start to vary, I will get inconsistent results. And now the data that I'm at that point collecting ultimately is going to be useless, right? And that brings you to the last critical factor, that data, whatever the measurement that you're using, it must be useful to the organization. Again, don't select data just for data's sake, right? One of the favorite sons that I have a tendency to pick on in classes are scans. Organizations love to do scans. And they do a lot of them over and over and over and over again. And they bring back these numbers that are truly useless to you because they're not grounded in truth for anyone, right? If I run a Nessus scan and the Nessus scan comes back and says that I have 500 patches missing across my infrastructure, well, that number doesn't tell me anything, right? It tells me I'm missing patches on a number of systems, but how many systems and what do those systems do, right? That's something the scanner can't tell you. The scanner is going to tell you, we scanned 500 systems, and of those 500 systems, we found 500 missing patches. Well, that could have just been one missing patch per system, which would tell me, oh, well, I'm doing pretty good. I'm at 99.5% on my patch levels. Or it could be a pocket of 100 systems that these 500 missing patches were found. But why were they in that pocket of systems? What is possibly special about those systems as to why we didn't put a particular patch or sets of patches on it? And so if I begin to react on just this raw data, I can do more harm than I'm actually doing good by patching the machine because I chose the wrong metric to tell me the story. Okay. I hope that makes sense to you. If it ever doesn't, feel free to drop a question in the chat box, and I'll clean it up for you as best I can. So this is kind of more of the same, and I just wanted to give you as many words as I could to kind of tell you the same story, because choosing the right metric is how the program survives, right? I'm actually in the middle of setting up a brand new cybersecurity program for an organization that never really had a cybersecurity program. Educate them as the program builds, part of the education, right? And sometimes in a very selfish way, part of me showing, how am I earning my check every day is by selecting the right metric for either the IT department or the executive management or the vice presidents or what have you, for them to watch for trends as to whether or not the program is doing well or doing as expected at a point in time. Right. But if I start selecting improper metric or metrics that are not useful, it can guide you to different trend points that will start, well, it's what I generally say, it'll start lying to you, right? You'll start chasing ghosts because the metric is not accurate for what you think you're looking at it